Hello, everybody. I want to welcome you to my brand new podcast, the Bass Chaplain Fishing Podcast. This will be episode 0. It'll be the preview episode or the pilot episode. I got to tell you, I've wanted to do a podcast for a long, long time, and I'm so excited to be able to launch this podcast at the 2022 Bassmasters Classic. And so I hope you got a card, and I hope you dropped by our booth and you got to see all the things that we have got going on with Well Spoken Ministries and the Bass Chaplain. A little bit of history about myself. I grew up loving the sport of bass fishing. I grew up on the Santee Cooper Reservoir down in Somerton, South Carolina. My brother was a bass guide, and usually if he couldn't take me fishing, my father could. And I grew up absolutely loving the sport of bass fishing. I'm eaten up with it. I collect Big League Bass Pro cards. I've got every Bassmaster episode, probably from 1985 to the present on tape. It is a sickness with me. I mean, I would grow up and guys would say, man, did you see what Roger Staubach did? I said, never mind Roger Staubach. Did you see what Roland Martin caught? He must have had 30 pounds a day. I love the sport of bass fishing. Well, in 2004, I started a full-time speaking ministry to sportsmen and outdoorsmen, sharing the gospel of Jesus Christ, literally all over the country. And about 2008, the Bassmasters Classic, the Super Bowl of bass fishing, came to South Carolina for the first time. I remember when they came, a friend of mine actually got me in as a volunteer to watch somebody fish. You know, you're sick when you want to sit in the boat and watch somebody fish anyway, but I loved it. And I got paired with the guy who won the tournament that year, and we're practicing and we're sitting on the boat, and he looks at me and he goes, Chris, we're thinking about getting a chaplain for the Bassmaster Tour. He said, we're looking at a lot of speakers. He said, your name keeps coming up. He said, would you be interested in being a chaplain? At that point, I tried to look very spiritual. I kind of bowed my head and I said, well, let me pray about that for 2 seconds. Yes, I'd love to be the chaplain for the Bassmaster Tour. He said, dude, we can't afford to pay anything. I said, it's perfect. I don't make any money. And so what happens is I teach a Bible study for the pros before the tournament starts. And then I'm just there as a pastor would be. And what we try to accomplish, we try to do what we call servant evangelism, where we go out and serve the families and serve the anglers and the bass staff. And we try to be Jesus on site at every single Bassmaster event. And it's a really, really cool job. And I always tell people it's a great job as long as you don't like money. That's the big downfall. But our podcast is going to be a little different. Now, there's a million podcasts about fishing. There's a million podcasts about faith. But what I wanted to do was combine faith with fishing and talk to pros and talk to anglers, not only about fishing techniques and how well they're doing in tournaments, but how well they're walking with Jesus and how did they get to know Jesus in the first place. And so it's going to be called the podcast where faith and fishing hook up. And we're going to try to have some of the legends of the sport come in and tell you about how to be a better fisherman, you know, how to do the things that you really want to learn how to do, but at the same time, learn how to know and to walk with the person of Jesus Christ. You know, I grew up in church. I tell people that I grew up from the time I can remember. My oldest memories are of going to church. And I really thought I was a Christian for 2 reasons. Number one, I believed in God. And number two, I had taken a preacher by the hand and they had kind of baptized me, but nothing had really ever changed in my life. I was the kind of guy that knew all the right churchy things to say. I could go to Christian camp and win the Christian a Week award because I was just so versed in what I was supposed to say, but it never translated into any kind of life change. My freshman year of college, I rushed the largest fraternity at my college, and I just lived every weekend for me. I'm not going to tell you every sin I committed, but suffice it to say, I tried to commit them all. And the change came for me my sophomore year. It was on a Halloween night, and I went dressed as the Tom Cruise character that he played in the movie Top Gun. And I know what you're thinking right now. You're thinking, there's no way. I actually used to have a 6-pack. Now I got a 2-liter. But anyway, I laid under a pecan tree. Now, Edwin Evers would call it a pecan tree, but where I come from, it's a pecan tree. And I got really low that night, and I laid on my face. And I said, Jesus, if you'll forgive my sins and you'll come into my life, I will follow you. And I can't prove it to you today, but when I stood up, I was a changed person. I knew that my heart had crossed a line and God came into my life and he gave me a purpose, and he gave me meaning in my life. And I never imagined in my wildest dreams that I would ever get to be the chaplain and get to minister to the people who are my heroes. And that's what this fishing podcast is going to be about. It's going to be about my heroes, the pros of the Bassmaster Elite Series and Major League Fishing. And we're going to look at a lot of different guys. We're going to look at the greats, guys like Hank Parker. We're going to try to interview guys like Guy Aker. We're going to interview Edwin Evers. We're going to have Andy Montgomery, Ott Defo, just so many Christian pros that not only perform at the highest level of bass fishing, but they also walk with the person of Jesus Christ, the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords, who is an absolute true fisherman. I always tell people, I actually put it on a t-shirt, that Jesus hung out with fishermen, not golfers. Now, if you're a golfer, he loves you too, but it's just, something funny I said. So what I'm going to need you to do is, if you haven't subscribed on our YouTube page, just the Bass Chaplain YouTube page, just hit that subscribe button and then hit the little bell button, and you'll receive notifications when we put up a new video, when we put up a new podcast. And we'd love for you to follow along with us. We're going to have questions and answers, that you can write in and ask all the pros the questions that you want to ask them. And whether that question is about fishing or faith, we're going to try, to let the greatest pros in the entire sport answer those questions for you. So I'm looking forward to it. Hope to get to know you through this podcast, and it's going to be a great time. And so it's going to be available on YouTube. It's going to be available at anywhere you listen to podcasts. And so we look forward to it. Welcome to the pilot episode of the Bass Chaplain Fishing Podcast. I cannot wait. It's going to be great. It's the place where faith and fishing hook up. I'll see you later.